Okay, so let's talk about doing some texture work here. So we have our floor, and let's take a look at the image that we're looking at. Here's that hallway. Let me zoom back out here. Here's the hallway. Here's the floor. It looks like it's got a wood. It's got that parquet in the middle that we've talked about a little bit. It's got this wood border, and then it's got this like alternating or just a randomized horizontal pattern across the inside areas, which extends out to here. So this area, I mean, we may want to take a look at individually, but we can always come back to that. If we had to, we could use one of these tiles and just have it repeat and then go to this towards the end of the edge here. But let's take a look how I was going to set this up. Originally, I was just thinking you could cut it into 2 pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 3 and just give another cut right through here. Let me go ahead and this. Go right through here. So I'm going to do another cut through here. And if we look, that's what I've done. So I have this, I've unwrapped it. If we take a look at the unwrap, simple unwrap, let me deselect that and say open. There we go. Close this off. So I just did it simple. I know there's a lot of space and stuff, and probably what we could do, and probably what I should do, is just when I do the texture, I should expect it to extend past here. That way I can use it for that other area. So, hindsight. And then I exported it, and then brought it into Painter. And that's not Painter. Painter. There we go. Okay, so here's Painter. And if we look at the unwrap, oops, I forgot that's what Camtasia does there, so we're just going to change it to this one. Go F. And you can see that I've got the 3 areas, and I already did some work, but I'll show you what I did. So let me come back out here. Here. So I've got this tiled texture like this. I'm going to hide all these other ones here. And it's probably not tiled enough. So where did I get this texture? What's going on? How did I magically make this happen? Well, I magically did it with the thing called the internet, which I'll bring over here, and I searched parquet, wood flooring, and then I added texture. That was important. So, and I think it's this one. Yep, it's this one. I just went to this first one I found, and when I went to the website, that Pinterest link here, and then I clicked on it, it's this thing right here. And look, it comes with a texture, a color map, a normal map, and a spec map. But, oh, look, here's another one. It's kind of what I was looking for, maybe. Almost. I kind of like this one. I kind of don't like this one. So if you click on it, it opens it big one. So you say save as, and I'll save it here. I already saved the other 3. And I'll say save as, save the other 3. Then go to this one and see. I'm not real crazy about these maps, but again, we're not looking to make brand new stuff here. So we'll close this one. I'm going to come back to this one. I'm not super crazy about it, but that'll work for today. Okay, say save map, save map. Oops. Save image. Oh, it's a displacement map. Interesting. Okay. Save image. Okay, when you see a word called displacement map, that just means that for our purposes, we maybe use it as a height map. But anyway, so I found that texture, and let me turn this off. So this is that texture. You can tell that it's pretty bland and stuff. So the first thing I did is I went in here and I added a level. So if we look at the levels, let me just delete it here. Okay, so here it is, and then I come up to this, the wand, and I say add levels. Inside of that master texture, I say add levels. And then I just moved it around till I got what I liked, and I kind of like this, looking back at this. It's hard to tell, but it's there, and this should work. So I got this, I think it's 2.3 is what I was at, a little bit darker, not much. Okay, and then I duplicated it, but let me do this way here. So I duplicate it, let me get rid of the metallic, the roughness, and the normal. Okay. And I'm going to show you that I did them all as separate layers because I want to control them separately. A lot of people put them all in one layer and you can control them by what each layer is doing up here. I actually like to have my visual laid out for me. So anyway, so I'm going to come in here and then I'm going to say duplicate. You can control D like you do inside of Unity, or you could Alt and drag like you would inside of Photoshop, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to take this and delete it. I don't want that on this one, but what I'm going to do, instead of making it a normal, I'm going to say overlay. And what that does is it gives me a little bit more rich, deeper tonal quality. Now, the other thing you'll notice is that I said 1.5. Let me, and really looking at it now against the floor, it's still too big. So I'm going to try and scale this up. And the problem is, let me undo that. I'm going to hide this one. I should do it here first. Make my life easier. I'm going to type in, let's say, 3. Like that. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better. And I think it's facing the wrong direction. That's part of the problem. So I'm going to take my rotation and say not 360, but 90. There. Because I think if we look at the image again, we'll see that the tiling is going like this across there. Okay. So then I might as well delete this one and just Control D to dupe it again, get rid of my base level, change this to overlay. Now realize that everything we're doing in here is based off of this layer control we have right here. So if I changed it to height or whatever, then it would be there. The other thing you might want to notice that you may not have noticed is that I got rid of all the other options in here. So all these other ones that we could be using, I'm not using. I turned them all off. Okay, so the last step is, let me just delete this actually, I guess. Oh no, last step. Let me do one more thing, and then I'm gonna take this, and because I want to copy this, I could just make a new layer and type in 3, but I'm just kind of lazy that way. I say no, I don't want the color map, but I do in this case want the normal map. Because if we look at this in 3D, and I make sure I'm on perspective here, yeah. Okay, you can see it's flat. Right, so if I turn this light and I move it around by shift and the right mouse button click and move it, you can see I can kind of move it around. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is type in normal on here, like that. And then I'm going to come over to my texture palette, which is off screen, so I will move it back on screen. So I'll open up my shelf here, which was up in this corner up here. I need to turn this off like I did in Max so it doesn't automatically try and dock it. I like having floating windows in some ways. And you can see here's my textures, and I want this seamless parquet one, and I'm just going to drag it on over to there. Take a look at it. Okay, so that's way too strong, right? That's I mean, it may be okay in the end, but right now I'm thinking it's too strong. So what I'm going to do is just go to this layer, you know, and say, first off, we can change it to normal. It doesn't really matter again because see how it didn't change. If I went to normal layer and then I changed it to normal, it would change some stuff, but we're just going to leave it by default. And that's normal map detail. And then when I'm in the normal layer, though, here, let me go back to this one more time. Base color. And I come and change this to 0, let's say. Nothing happens. And that's because I'm still working in the color layer, which isn't even active on this one. So I need to come back to the normal and then come in here and say 0. See how it disappears? I can even do that. So I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. So I think I said 50 originally. It's still kind of muddy. That's the reason I don't like it a lot. We can take a look at making new ones at one point. Anyway, so then I have that. Then, oh, I shouldn't have closed that. Do that to myself. Then I'm going to, here, we'll do it like the old school way and put it down here at the bottom. Then I'm going to duplicate this layer again, Control D. And this one I'm going to call metal. And then I'm going to change out of here and just go to base color for now. And then I'm going to turn off metal. I'm going to say metal. And then I'm going to drag. They only have one texture for specular in this case, but I don't really want to fight with specular, so I'm going to put this in metal. And let's see what we get. And we can see that it does some interesting stuff. It may be a little bit more than we want, but at least it gives us a little bit of a shine in the way we may think we like. So what I will do is I'll come into here and drop down to metal, again, or metallic, and change it to maybe this much. Again, we're just trying to get some subtleties. We don't want to have everything popping. When you're working in realism or trying to work in realism, you want to try and get the subtleties adding on top of each other, not just a simple one button clicks all. So roughness, and then I'm going to come to here. I'm going to delete that one, turn on rough, turn off metal. I'll probably go to roughness, so when I work in this layer, it's in the roughness layer. And then I will drag that same texture into the roughness and see what we get. See, this is where it gets weird. I'm not real crazy about this. We could try and invert it, but really that's the first thing we do. Change this to like 50. Oops, I hate that you can't type it in right when you select it. 50. I'm still not super crazy about it. It's almost like I want the negative. So let's see if I flip it. How do we, maybe because I see how this is highlighted here and then flat here. I almost want it to be highlighted in the shadow or in the depression area, like in the normal push down, and then the opposite in this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and add a filter. And inside of that filter, we're going to pick, and we're just going to tell it to do the normal. And we can do it a couple ways. Hold on. We can do it a couple ways, but the easiest way to do it is just to come down here to go to invert. And there. And now I've got it inverted, and I'm still not super crazy about it. That's one of the reasons I wasn't really sure if I wanted to use this. I almost like this much better, but I'm going to try and turn this down even lower just to get that simple. It's just a little bit different sheen to it. I know it may not be a huge difference to all y'all, but I notice it. Okay, and again, we're never going to be looking at it like that. So the next thing you do is the last thing. We're going to remove this mask, clear the mask. Let's do it this way. Remove mask. There we go. I'm going to add a mask in like we always do. I'm going to say white because I know the majority of this is going to be white. I'm going to come to this and come over to my normal way of doing stuff, which is the polygon fill, and roll over what I don't want. Now, right by default, it may be up here. If I click here and nothing happens, that means that it's probably set to the wrong direction. So I'm going to come all the way down to black because I want it to make my mask ignore the areas I click on. So I click here, and now it's ignoring that. I click here, I click here, I click here. And I'm going to go, I was going to do the sides too, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to leave those. If they do bleed through, at least I get some of this color back. So that's the first one. Now you got to do it for all of them, right?